Hey DIYers, I'm George with AlarmGrid. Today we're going to be going over how you can use Total Connect with the Lyric. So we're going to demonstrate a little couple things that we can do Total Connect and with the Lyric controllers. Now there's one important thing I do want to go over before we get started in the demonstration. This has mainly to do with the home automation on the panels and the editing and the adding of the new scenes. Now you'll see here we have two Lyric controllers. The one right in front of me right here, it's going to be a Lyric controller that's actually monitored with us. It has a Total Connect account tied to it. Total Connect is the remote interaction services that allows you to arm and disarm the system remotely, which we're going to demonstrate in a second. And then we have one other Lyric here that is not monitored, has not been activated. It's just a standalone system. Now, if you have a Lyric controller and you have a Total Connect account tied to it, you cannot edit or add scenes locally on the Lyric panel. They actually have to be done through Total Connect. You can actually do this through Total Connect if your company has enabled home automation for your Total Connect account. Now, a lot of different companies, they group these differently. For us, our Silver would be the one that has home automation included into the Total Connect account. So if you have Bronze and you're finding yourself not able to edit or add scenes through the actual Lyric itself, it's because you have a Total Connect account and that kind of blocks it, which I'm going to show you in a second. Now, if you have a standalone system that's never been monitored before, you can actually edit the scenes and add new scenes. Just so you guys can see, on both panels, I'm going to go ahead and put them at the primary screen where it shows security, automation, video. Now, the monitored one, when you go to smart scenes, which are the Z-Wave scenes, is going to ask you to enter in a code. You're going to enter in the master code. The default master code for all Honeywell panels is going to be 1234. It may be different if you have changed it or if your monitoring company has changed it. So you enter in 1, 2, 3, 4, and it takes you to a page where you can actually click all. It's going to take you to all of your scenes. Now you see here, there's no option to add or edit, to delete. The only thing you can do is click on them, show, or run them. Run would actually run that scene. Now, remember, I said the only thing you cannot do is edit or add a new scene. This is on the one that is monitored and has a Total Connect account tied to it. So scenes, the adding and editing of them would be done through Total Connect. I'm going to go ahead and back out to the home screen on this one. The one that isn't monitored, you're going to see something slightly different. If I go to Smart Scenes and I enter in 1, 2, 3, 4, again, that's the default Honeywell master code unless you have changed it. I go to all. I can actually highlight and hit edit, and you can edit anything in here. Unlike on this one, let me go ahead and go to the same screen. Shouldn't have backed out. You don't have any edit. The delete button is grayed out. You cannot do anything in regards to editing and adding scenes on the monitored Lyric. The non-monitored Lyric, you can delete a scene, hit yes to confirm. You can edit a scene. You can play around with the different arming features, what triggers it, different things like that. Now, that's just the main thing I wanted to go over in regards to a non-monitored Lyric and a monitored Lyric. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the actual demonstration of Total Connect with the Lyric. Now, for those of you who don't know, Total Connect is an interactive service. It's a remote interactive service, which means that you don't have to be home to be using the app and control the Lyric. You can be halfway across the world in a different country, on a different continent. You can be at work, you can be at a park, wherever you are, as long as you have the app and you are connected through your cellular service provider, you actually have internet service on there, you can go ahead and control your Lyric panel from Total Connect. Now here I have an Apple tablet. It has a Total Connect 2.0 app already downloaded onto it. It's a red and white logo. You want to make sure it says Total Connect 2.0 to make sure it's the correct app. Once you click it, it's going to ask you for your login credentials. Mine's automatically signed in, so it goes straight to the home screen. What I'm going to show you guys here now is on the home screen, it's going to show the status of the system. It's going to say disarmed because that's what my system is currently set to right now, it's going to give you two different options right underneath. It has an arm away and an arm stay. If you hit arm away, it's going to make the system go into an arm away. Now, one thing I do want you to take into consideration with the arm away, I don't know if you guys have tested this, but when you guys do an arm away on the actual lyric panel, it does have a feature called auto stay that's enabled at the actual panel. So when you arm at the panel, you do an arm away and you don't open up an entry exit door, the system automatically reverts to stay. This is caused because the system knows that nobody has left the house, so it automatically places the system into an arm stay to deactivate any motions that may be programmed into the system, so you don't set off a false alarm. Now, the total connect, when you arm away, it takes that feature, it completely ignores it because it knows that you could be arming the system while you're away from the house. So whenever you do an arm away, like I'm about to do now, the system should go into an arm away state, and it'll begin its exit delay. Any second now. Now, it is going to take a little bit. Now, on my iPad, I do have it connected to Apple HomeKit, so it's going to give me a notification as well. As you can see, the lyrics begins to count down. You can go ahead and disarm it. I'm going to disarm it for right now for the sake of the video. Now notice how on Total Connect, it is not asking me to enter in a code, how it usually does at the panel. Why? Because the master code is already synced to my Total Connect account, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in just 1 second. So some other options you see here. You have the weather and the forecast for the week. You have the cloud humidity. You can actually, on the disarm screen as well, you see on the left-hand side, it will say sensors, and on the right-hand side, a keypad. Keypad is your virtual keypad. It'll basically show you the exact status of what the panel is in. So right now it says disarmed ready. It'll give me the time. It'll say it's ready to arm. And the arm light is not on, obviously, because it is not armed. You can actually enter in your code manually through here if you wish, but you do not need to. Say if this is just if you wanted to use the virtual keypad, but these quick buttons make it a lot easier for you to arm. You'll see on sensors, if you click sensors, I don't have any programmed into my panel, but usually what you would see all of your sensors under here. It has your panics. For me, it has my key fob slots. You can go ahead and filter. You can look for troubles. If there's any faults or anything that are open or any alarms that have been caused, you can see what sensors have caused them. Like I said, I have no sensors lured into my panel, so you won't see any on mine. On the bottom of the screen, you're going to see your navigation bar. The first one is home. The second one is automation. This is where you can control your thermostats, or if you have any Z-Wave switches, plugs, lamp modules, garage doors, anything that's home automation that's tied into your lyric, you can control through Total Connect. For instance, right now I'll show you guys a quick demo of the thermostat. You can switch it to heat, cool. You can have the fan to on, auto. You can create a schedule. Again, these are just different things that you're going to be playing around with as you move on with the app and you add more and you integrate more into your lyric system. But like I said, there's a schedule. You can go ahead and create a schedule and then save it. Make sure you always hit save so that you save your work. When you're done, just hit the done button on the top right. Hit the back button to go back to the other screen. We're going to continue on with the navigation bar. The next button you're going to see is cameras. This is if you have any IP cams. So right now they have the old generation ones, which are the WL, the WO. They have the new ones, which are the Lyric OC1s, C1, and C2s. If you have a Lyric, you have the built-in camera, which you can actually take a look at all the snapshots that have been taken. I'm not going to go into there because I don't want you to see all of our bad selfies here. But yeah, like you saw, we used to have some front door and stairs cameras at the old office, so you're going to be able to see that we have those learned into our account. You can actually live stream them by clicking on them. If you have a Skybell tied into your account, this one has a setup in new Skybell. If you hit the button, it will walk you through setting everything up. You can go ahead and hit next, continue, and it'll basically show you how to set your Skybell up so that you can actually view it through Total Connect as well. Now your events. This is where you're going to see everything that's recently happened on your panel. So if you see here, it'll show you that my system was disarmed. I had armed it away when I showed you guys I was testing. I had to disarm right after. If you ever do any user syncs or zone synchronizations, panel syncs, they're going to show up on here. So if you've already synced your panel, any new zones that you add to your layer controller, Total Connect will automatically sync, and you'll see there it says zone sync success. So if you add any new ones, it'll say one added zone, and then it should bring up into your sensors, which we saw previously on the home screen. This is just a quick look at the events. If you go to your scenes, this is where you're going to go ahead and create them. In the top right, there's a plus button. What you're going to go ahead and do to add a scene, when you hit the plus, it takes you to the wizard screen setup. You're going to give your scene a name. Let's say I want to name it, I'll name it test. I'll hit save. You're going to go ahead and it's going to tell you what you want to control. So we want to control the security system. We want it to arm stay. We're going to hit continue. It asks us when we would like the system to arm stay. You can go ahead and do it based on another device. It'll bring in other things. So you can do when the garage door opens or closes. So let's say we want it to close. We'll continue. So we're going to do an arm stay when the garage door closes. We hit save. That'll create a test scene there in for us. You can actually go ahead and go back into that scene if you wanted to. Oh, sorry, that actually ran the scene. You would actually hit the pencil icon right next to the test one, and if you wanted to go ahead and delete it, hit the top right where the three dots are and hit delete smart scene. That'll delete the scene from the panel. Go ahead and hit the back arrow key, and it's no longer in your scenes. There's different things you can also create. We'll go ahead and let you play around with that. And if you guys have any questions, always give us a call. If you go to users, this is the important thing I want here. So once you guys are logged into Total Connect, what you want to go ahead and do first is make sure that your master user is synced. You're going to see user syncs. I'll show you that in the location. So right now here, you're going to see most of these, they say need verification. That's because we created a Total Connect account for our other users, but they never verified their email address, which is why you see that it says needs verification. But this is going to be all the users we have here. You can edit, play around with them. If you look at the top right, again, is the person with the plus sign. You can create a new user. It's going to give you the option of doing an admin user, which is going to have the same rights as you. So you can, as an admin user, you have this same thing as standard user, but you can also edit and delete other user profiles. A standard user, let's say if you have a business and you have an employee that you want to have the app, but you don't want them to have the admin rights to delete other users, you would just set up a standard user. You would enter in their email address, and that would send them a email that you should have gotten during the setup to create a password so that they also have access to the Total Connect app. A panel only is a user code at the panel only. So if I wanted to do that one, you would do a panel only. It goes into the next available user slot. You can give the user a name, a last name. So here I have multiple. Give me a second. Let me exit out of this part here. You'll see I have multiple locations here. For me, I'd want to go ahead and check off the location that I want, which would be the lyric location. And then it's going to ask me for the user code underneath. So you can go ahead and give someone that you just want to have access at the panel only, you can give them a user code there. Let me go ahead and bring that down. Let me cancel. Yes, we don't want to save the user right now. I want to show you guys another one you can add. I want to show you guys a standard user. This is going to be for someone that you want to have Total Connect access as well as panel access. Again, you're going to create them a name, or you're going to give them a name, last name, give them a username. Total Connect will actually let you know if the username is taken. So let's say we wanted to do test alarm grid. First name, we'll give it alarm, last name grid. Then it'll allow us to continue. It's going to ask us for an email. This is the email verification I told you that it will send them. They need to verify themselves so that they can actually log in. They'll get an email confirmation saying click here to validate the email address. Once they validate it, it's going to ask them to create a password. This is the password for them to log into Total Connect. And then once they've done that, once you enter in an email, you're going to go into user access and give them a code. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and cancel out of this right now. Yes, we don't want it saved. And then the last thing I want you guys to pay attention to is the user sync, because this is what we have a lot of issues on. So on the bottom right, you see where it says more with the 3 dots? Go ahead and click that. It brings up a little navigation bar as well. I want you to go ahead and go over to my location. Now this is where you're going to run the panel sync and the user syncs once it loads up. Now you see here, this has one of our addresses. The old office, and you'll see here that on the user code it's going to have it blurred asterisked out or dotted out. If you hit show, it's going to show you the master code. Right now obviously we have it set to default as this is just a test panel, so if you hit show you'll see it should say 1 2 3 4. What you're going to want to go ahead and do in order for you to have a successful user sync and create new users on the panel, you want to make sure that the user code is correctly synced, meaning that the user code on your Total Connect app is the same as the user code on the panel. So slot number 2 is the master user code. On this one, the master user code, again, it's defaulted at 1 2 3 4. As long as this is 1 2 3 4 and we do sync users, we'll get a user sync successful, which you can actually view by hitting done and going to your events. In a second here, you're going to see my events are going to update and it'll say user sync begins, and then it'll say user sync success. Once you see a user sync successful, you know that you now have the authority to go into Total Connect and edit your user codes through the app. So if you wanted to, after the user sync comes through successful here, it should come up anytime now, but let's go ahead and say it did come up user sync successful. You would go back into more, go to my location, and here you can actually switch the master user code away from 1 2 3 4. So you can enter in any new 4-digit user code that you may want to use at the panel. Let's say I do show. I can actually go in there, delete out 1 2 3 4, and enter in a new code 4321. Oops, sorry, I wasn't on my numbers. You would enter in 4321. I would do, if you have multiple locations, again, it's going to give you options. You can apply it to this location only or apply it to other locations. I'm going to just apply it to this location. And then if you just hit save on the bottom right, it should cause a user sync automatically. It'll throw up a prompt that the user code's been updated and that the sync will happen automatically. Once you hit OK, hit done at the top right. And again, if you go to your events, it was already on that screen. If you go to your events, it should bring up the user sync begins and user sync successful. Now guys, this is just a quick overview of everything you can do with the Total Connect application. Again, if you ever have any questions or if you ever want to find out a little more about Total Connect and our monitoring services that include Total Connect, which is almost 7 out of 8 of the plans that include these remote interactive services, feel free to give us a call. Let us know. You can email us at support@alarmgrid.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit like at the bottom of the video. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and enable notifications. That way, whenever we upload new content like this, you can actually get notified. Again, my name was George. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye.